Hi there! Guys, believe it or not, today you're finally gonna master your procrastination. You finally understand how procrastination works. What exactly does your brain do when you procrastinate? And why it is harder to take some actions and easier to take other actions. To wire yourself, to make yourself to take any action and make it seem almost effortless. To take actions on the longest, hardest project that you've been procrastinating on forever. And coaches, this is also an amazing episode for you. It will give you another tool, another exercise to practice with your clients when they're finding it especially hard to do some actions consistently. So let's start with a story. Close your eyes, maybe. If you're driving, don't, but if you can, close your eyes and imagine a scene with me. Together, we are walking in a beautiful Italian city. Everywhere, it seems like a piece of art or some piece of architecture that totally blows your mind. It's a fascinating, beautiful city. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, you see that tower? And the tower is quite tall. And I'm telling you, there are about 50 flights of stairs, but when we climb that, you're gonna have pretty amazing view of the whole city. And you're like, 50 flights of stairs, too much effort, I probably won't be able to do that, not in such a great shape. No, maybe some other time. So, rewire that back. Again, we're walking in this beautiful Italian city. And I'm telling you, you see that tower, and the tower is not that big. Like only 3 flights of stairs, 3. And you're gonna see the most gorgeous view that you've ever seen in your life. And you're like, 3 flights of stairs, yeah, seems pretty doable, and the views is gonna be amazing, so yeah, let's do that. So what happened there is that your brain really fast made this calculation. It's like 50 flights of stairs, too much effort, I might not be able to do that, and the reward is, I've seen other views. And then the second part of the story, of the scenario, the tower is not that big, 3 flights of stairs, and the most gorgeous view of the whole city. You're like, yeah, let's do that. Your brain again made this calculation and decided that the effort needed and the reward that you get, reward is much bigger, effort is much less. So every time you are about to take action, your brain, without consulting you, does exactly that. It calculates how much effort is needed to get done, how much effort it takes to get that reward. How big is that reward? Is it worth it to invest all that effort up front to get that reward? If your brain decides that it's worth it, that the effort is not that big for the reward, then you're gonna take the action. If your brain decides silently, I need to remind you, it's not going to consult you and tell you all this process, but that's exactly what's happening, this math. And if your brain decides that, the effort seems to be too big, and so the reward seems to be too small, not worth it, so we're not going to be taking action. And this mechanism is very important for your survival, because in prehistoric times, if you over-invested effort and got really little reward for that, it might mean that you get little nutrition, you get little energy, and you just work and work and work, and you basically die because you don't get enough resources, you get enough energy, etc. Right? So that is always happening in your brain because your brain needs to keep you alive. Imagine another scenario. We are sitting in your kitchen. I'm your friend, and we're in your kitchen, and I'm like, let's go climb Everest. And you look at me and your brain again makes this calculation. Everest, like too much effort, and why? And you're like, Angela, no, not really, not feeling like it. And you wire back. Now again, we're sitting in your kitchen and I know there is an apple in your fridge and I want that apple. I'm like, hey, can you give me an apple that I know in the fridge? And you're like, sure. And you go and grab that apple. Because the effort is tiny, you're just gonna basically turn around and open your fridge and grab an apple. And the reward is quite big. You get to be a nice person who gives an apple to your friend, right? In every situation, your brain does that calculation. So if you find a specific situation extremely difficult for you to take action on, it is because your brain made this calculation that the effort you're about to take is much bigger than the reward that you're gonna get. So your job, if you want to stop procrastinating and take consistent actions on this specific thing, is to make the effort smaller, shrink it down, chunk it down, and make the reward bigger. On a neurological level, it works like that. When you make the reward look bigger, you increase the amount of dopamine flushed in your brain. And the more dopamine you have, the more likely you're to take any action, no matter how much effort it requires. The less reward, the smaller reward it seems, the less dopamine is released and less likely you are to take action. And so effort and reward, they're like two levers. Whenever you have an action to take, like let's say you need to clean an apartment and you have like the big apartment. And so you think about this big apartment, then the effort seems to be huge. And it's very hard to take action on that because in your brain, it's a huge task. It's a lot of effort. And reward, well, clean a place, it might be important, might not be that important. If your date is coming over and they're very important to you, you might be very motivated to clean even the entire apartment. But if nothing special is happening to your brain, like cleaning, not that much, too much effort so you don't clean. The solution to that problem is to make cleaning look small to decrease the effort. So the amount of actual dopamine needed to be released is much smaller. So instead of thinking about cleaning the whole apartment, you think about cleaning just 2 shelves. Just dust it off, 2 shelves. That's it. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta imagine in your brain. Once you're done with that, you're like, the next kitchen counter, the only thing that I need to do is kitchen counter. And the effort again is tiny, so you take that action. Chunk it down, break it down. And if you find it difficult to start any action, then it means that the effort appears to be too huge in your brain. And so that's exactly what you do. You make it smaller. And it's all about visualization. I'm not trying to fool you. I'm trying to chunk down the bigger task into smaller and smaller pieces that require less and less effort in your brain. And also at the same time, think about the reward. Make it bigger, make it huge, make it really important. And then that ratio, effort goes down, your motivation goes up, and you are more likely to take that action. Just like with those flights of stairs. Or my example, I have a book to write, huge project. But instead of telling myself every morning, I need to write a book, huge task, I tell myself, I just need to sit down, read the last page and edit it. That's all. That's what I need to do right now. And so I like to write a book, so there is a reward. And the task, just reading 1 page and editing it seems to be small. The effort seems to be small, and I'm taking action. So this is exactly how you do it when you find yourself procrastinating and you want to take action. You connect to the reason, you make the reward bigger in your mind. Again, it's all in your imagination. And the effort, make it smaller by chunking it down, by breaking it into smaller, very clear, very doable parts. And that's it, guys. This is how you master procrastination. And this is what is recommended by all the behavioral scientists and top coaches. Always use it, whether they know it or not. So if your client is struggling with something, they always procrastinate on something, help them to break that huge task into smaller pieces, clear, and make sure that they connect to the reward. And this is the skill that I work with all of my clients on, whether they know it, whether they understand it or not. Maybe I should start explaining to them that in stories. If you're interested in learning more about anything when it comes to mind mastery, that is one piece of equipment that is in charge of getting any results: health, fitness, relationship, business. If you want to stop procrastinating, get focused, change your energy levels, your motivation levels. If you want your brain to work better, to get any result and better life, let's schedule our call and I'll help you to master anything that you might be struggling, and that will unlock results in all of the areas of your life. But today, don't forget to share this specific skill with at least one person to help them to take actions on what's important to them. And also, don't forget to practice this skill in areas that you are struggling with. And of course, as soon as you do that, please let me know how you do. I'd love to hear from you.